This is my 14.4 assignment where I'll be reviewing my coaching session. So for my coaching session, I did boxercise. I led a group of about 6 people, and these people, after the session was partaken, they then reviewed my strengths and my weaknesses from what they saw in my coaching. From this peer review, the individuals picked out some of my strengths, which were that there was, when I was leading the session and describing what the different stations during the circuit sort of training part of it was, and the others, so the warm-ups and that I was using clear descriptive language. It was quite obvious what you were meant to do through my descriptions. The second strength that was noticed was that I managed to maintain good control of the group. This was just to ensure that they stuck on task, they remained fully focused in what they're meant to be doing, rather than losing a bit of focus, losing a bit of discipline when partaking in my session. And the third strength was that there was good use of demonstrations. So during, say, the circuit aspect of my training, I was able to demonstrate these sort of movements to them and what they were needing to do with the use of physical demonstrations. This would have helped the more visual learners in the group, rather than those that are able to just listen and absorb the information. This gave the other people a physical picture of what was going on. However, some of my weaknesses which were noticed was a lack of organisation at the start of the session. So the group were made to wait for a fair bit of time while I was putting out some equipment that wasn't ready. This just delayed the warm-up and the rest of the session and really wasted time. A lack of motivation, so some of them pulled out the fact that I was perhaps not particularly motivating, maybe not congratulating as positive as I could be, and this kind of affected their motivation and sort of took away from some of the good stuff, as there was a lack of real personal sort of motivation and congratulations almost that would sort of want them to kind of work harder and carry on doing the good work that they were doing. And then the third one is that not clear explanation of skills and techniques. So although one of my strengths was describing the actual activities of the session, the actual how this related to the skill and the technique which I was trying to convey through my session wasn't perhaps made clear, and this just left them questioning particularly how this sort of how this was improving their technique and their skill, as they weren't made aware of it verbally by my descriptions. I then had to self-assess myself, and from this, my strengths that I personally believed was I thought I led with a lot of confidence. So this all comes through the clear voice, ensuring that I spoke clearly and that I conveyed confidence to allow the other people within that were partaking in my session to really feel like confident and as if they were able to just carry on and enjoy the session, as they knew that there was a leader that was almost enjoying himself while doing the session. And then my second one is clear ability to describe, where this was one of the ones picked out by the group as well, and something that I've already kind of covered, just saying about how I described the different stations and the different exercises. Ability to adapt. During the boxercise at the beginning of the session, I found out I lacked some of the equipment needed that I had put in my lesson plan. I was able to adapt this to make a more circuit type of training that was still had aspects of the boxercise around it and was still aimed at improving the same sort of skills and techniques that were the boxercise would have done. However, it just really required a lot of adaptation to the original lesson plan. And then now looking at weaknesses, I very much agreed with the group that sometimes my explanation of skills and technique lacked, maybe leaving the individuals wondering how some of the stuff was relevant, as it wasn't clearly explained. And then a lack of praise for the group. This kind of interlinks with the third thing, the lack of motivation. It was just perhaps I wasn't positive enough, giving enough praise. It kind of left the people wondering sort of what they're getting out of it. They needed that praise to just keep going, tell them they're doing good. It more of a mental thing for them more than anything. And I, as a leader, as a coach, perhaps lacked in that sense. And then looking at the adaptations I made to the session, and as you can see, this was very much the change from boxercise. There was a lack of gloves and pads to a more circuit-based training. So this included press-ups, sit-ups, a lot of weighted punches, including uppercuts, jabs, and hooks. And it also required an increase in the area of working space that we were working with, as before the boxercise would have been able to have been done on a smaller scale. They would have been in pairs. There would have only been a couple of them working at a time for sort of sets of reps, and the area of working space was just required to be made slightly larger to account for the circuits. And then finally, the final adaptation was that after the warm-up, I actually decided to add a activity-specific exercise. So this was a short little relay race that involved the sort of speed and the just started to work the muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance that the boxercise program would have done or would do later on in the session. So this involved climbing over, doing a part, putting the feet in between ladders, so doing a little sprint to get the agility and that going. And then it required 5 press-ups and then carrying back a weighted dumbbell. Moving on to what I would change next time, I would change my pulse raiser of the DVD game. This involved me saying fast forward, pause, and rewind, so they would either jog, sprint, or run backwards, depending on what I said. However, I thought this was perhaps a little bit dull, lacked a bit of interest, and was something that quickly the participants got bored of. I'd maybe have a little bit more competitiveness in the pulse raiser next time. And then finally, I would also change some of the activities in my circuit. Obviously, it wasn't ideal because I didn't have the pads, but I thought that the circuit, although it works very much on the muscular endurance of the individuals, it lacked the cardiovascular side of it that I kind of wanted to get in there. So I'd maybe add some ladders, some sprinting into that, just to some time sprints, so they were doing it for a certain amount of time, just to really work the cardiovascular fitness of the individuals. Finally, what I'd be working on, where I'd be able to use this coaching and why it would be important, and I could use the coaching to perhaps do the Sports Leader Level 3 course. This is the course that requires about 60 hours of tutoring and teaching time, and then you actually coach for 30 hours. So obviously, as it said, the first sort of section of it is to learn about leadership and to develop your personal leadership before beginning with planning, leading and evaluating with a group of children. This then moves on to other groups such as disabled people, older people and other groups within the community. So you're really working with a variety of people. And then finally, the level 3 qualification costs roughly £52 to complete. This is the last section, and it's short, medium and long-term goals that I would like to see in my coaching. Short-term wise, leading another session in the next 2 weeks. This is just ensure that I'm able to take the advice that I gained from the people within my group and the people I worked with, and be able to use that to go on to my next session in a short period of time, so it's still fresh, and work with them, work with a different group perhaps, or on improving that my coaching and ensuring that I have a better all-rounded coaching style and coach session. The medium-term goal would be to actually observe someone else leading a session, so I can gain tips and advice on the session. I mean, other people are going to do different things and things I hadn't thought of doing when coaching, and this will all the advice and tips that I can gain from other coaches will help to make me a more all-rounded coach, and be able for me to see perhaps where I'm going wrong or where my coaching style lacks. And then finally, a long-term goal will be to complete the level 3 leader course. This is because, obviously, as seen in the previous slide, it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of hard work. So obviously, that won't happen in a short period of time. The development of my coaching will have to happen over a longer period of time, and that's why the course is perfect, as it begins by you just evaluating yourself, looking at how you can improve before actually being put in a situation where you have to coach, for just starting with the children and then leading into the other groups in the community. And that will allow you to adapt your coaching style to whoever you're working with, whatever abilities you're working with, and just ensure that you can always develop a well-rounded coaching session that will be able to that everyone will be able to enjoy, no matter what skill or what ability.